Greetings, everyone. This is Sam Collins, the coding and billing expert for acupuncture for you, for the profession, for the American Acupuncture Council, and of course, for my AAC network members. Let's talk about, have you really decided, how do I determine a fair, reasonable fee schedule? Have you ever thought of what the costs are? As most acupuncturists, you've probably dealt mostly with cash and you're charging one fee no matter what you're doing. I want to start to do something that allows you to make more money in your practice by identifying your services and creating a true value to them. I can't tell you how often I've had acupuncturists come to me charging a fee that is well below what people will accept. By example, if someone is willing to pay you $70 for a service, but you only charge 35, how much are they going to pay? Well, 35 is what you charge. And I say this really from an insurance standpoint because if an insurance is willing to pay you 70, but you only charge 30, they're going to pay you 30. So have you ever really taken some time to look through your fee schedule to understand the value? And what we're going to focus in on is what's called relative value units. So let's go to the slides. Let's talk about that. Every single service in CPT, any service you can provide as a licensed acupuncturist to a patient, that service has a value. And that value is just to compare one service to another. By example, if one service has a value of 1 and another service has a value of 1.5, it tells you the one that's 1.5 would be 50% higher than the other. So what I want you to do with this is start to really use just your fee for acupuncture. If you tell me what you're charging for your first set, I will tell you what the relative price should be for everything else you should do. And I'm going to implore my network members, in particular, those that are viewing this, make sure if you haven't reached out to me this year to do so, so we can go through with you on a one-on-one Zoom on establishing and understanding a fee schedule that's specific to your area. There isn't generic across the United States. It depends on your area. So I'd like to start this, though, with all of you taking a look at what is your current charge. I mean, have you ever really thought, what do I charge for stuff? I want you to write this down. What is your charge for the first set and additional set of acupuncture? We'll just choose manual for now, keep it simple. What is your charge for a 99203, a simple mid-level new patient exam, as well as 97124, just simple massage, nothing fancy. So acupuncture, mid-level new patient exam, and massage. How did you choose the fees? How do you know what one should be to another? What we're going to focus in on is the relationship of one to the other. Now, what we're going to start with is, what is your fee for 97810? Now, you may think, well, how do I come up with that? Well, there's things to do there. And again, network members can contact me about that, but I'm going to just keep it simple. What do you currently charge? If you tell me what you charge for a 97810, I will tell you what the other fees will be and what an insurance will pay. Give me what an insurance pays for one code, and I'll tell you what they'll pay for any. Now, I want to keep in mind, a lot of your managed care contracts don't necessarily follow this. But this is one of the reasons I don't like managed care. But things that don't, by example, workers' comp, personal injury, even the VA follows this, because I will tell you the VA and Medicare rates are much higher than what you would get from American Specialty Health in a lot of these. So I want something that's going to make sense. So what this is about, though, is understanding the value of services. So on this page, I've given some examples of the relative value units for common codes. And you'll see right in the middle, I've included the acupuncture codes. And you'll notice 97810, 97811 all have relative values from one to the other. To make this the simplest way to think of it, if you charge $138 for the first set, I'm just making it an obvious example, what should be the cost of a second set? $80. Now you may think, wow, that's a big, yeah, there is more than a 50% difference between the first set and the additional set. The first set includes more of the initial part of the visit, all the exam part. That's why it's a little bit more. And I'm going to warn everyone, this has gone up 20% this year. If you're not aware, and you've probably seen it within the VA for those that are billing, there is a 20% increase in the relative value. RVU's updated substantially because I think they really looked at the cost and value of acupuncture in relation to other services. So 97810 and 97813 both increased 20%. So if you have not increased your value of 97810, I'm going to let you know you're losing money. Now, the value differences of 11 and 97814 did not change, but those two increased substantially. By example, on a Medicare slash VA patient, that is literally $10 to $15 more per code. And remember, that's based on a $40 rate. The $40 rate for 98940, which was fairly common, is now 50 plus in most areas. So start to look at that. But what this also does, though, is give the relative values of other services. By example, notice Simple Heat, infrared heat, 97026. It has a value of 0.2. So if you think in relation to a 97810, you're going to think, well, my goodness, that's literally around 15% of that. So if you want to know the relative value of a heat lamp, it's about 15% of the price of your acupuncture, which means that's why it's worth like $10. In addition here, though, I have other codes, 99203, 3.37. Now, here's something to kind of look at. Notice 97810 is 1.38. 99203 is 3.37. Now, this is not exact, but what we all see here, that's close to, it's not quite, 3 times that rate. I'd say about 2.6. So what you want to start to think of is what should be my price of a mid-level new patient exam? 2.5 to maybe 2.75 of the value of the acupuncture code. So if I'm charging, say, 60 for a 97810, my price for a 99203 is going to be 160, 170, somewhere in that range. What I find often is a great deal of undervaluing of the services. So here's how we're going to do this. Let's talk about what you charge. Let's just make it simple. What if we were to charge $75 for a first set of acupuncture? And I'm just using this as a random number, so that's what your fee is. Great. I take 75 and I divide it by its relative value. So I take 75, divide by 1.38, and it gives me this conversion, which is $54. This conversion number then is what we multiply any other code by to tell me its relative price. So if my first set of acupuncture is 75, notice the additional set, 5434 times 0.79 means 42. Now I'd probably round that up to probably 43, but needless to say, you can see here, oh, okay, it's not going to be the same price. I'll give an example. I had an office that was charging $60 for every set, and they were paying in full for each one. They're thinking, this is great, Sam. You know what that told me? If they're willing to pay you 60 for an additional set, do you think you have undervalued the primary set? You bet you have. So I want you realizing that this swings both ways, that you really want to start to have a reason behind the fees. And again, with network members, I want to push you that let's start to set this up, because here's what I've learned. Most acupuncturists bill roughly 8 to maybe 10 codes on a regular basis. Exam codes, acupuncture codes, a handful of therapies. I find of that, usually more than half are undervalued, which means half of the codes you bill, you're getting less money than you should. So by example, look at the exam price. Now, again, remember I said it's about 2 point whatever above, but notice 5434, 183. So again, not quite 3 times, but you can see the range. But notice for massage has a higher value than the additional cent, hence why that one is going to be $49.99, or again, I'd round up to 50. Now, to show you how this works, here is the fee schedule for Arizona. And I just picked Arizona. I mean, obviously, this is going across the U.S., and I have network members everywhere. Network members contact me. We'll go over what's in your state. But this is always a good starting place. This is the Medicare rates for the state of Arizona. And every state has this same breakdown. Now, what I'm showing here, though, is the Medicare rates, notice, for the acupuncture codes, exam codes. But let's do the math here to show you how RVUs work. Notice the value in Arizona Medicare is $43.86. By the way, last year that was like $35. It's gone up substantially. So I take $43.86, I divide by 1.38. It gives me a conversion of $31.78. I then take that number, $31.78, multiplied by any other code's RVU to give me the price. Now notice how this works. $31.78 times 0.79 is $25.10. Do you notice the fee for 97810? $25.17. I know it's off a few pennies, but you get it's in that range. Notice $31.78 times 3.37 for 99203, $107.10. Notice 99203, 106.95, again within 15 cents. 3178 times 0.92, the value of a massage, 29.23. Notice the value of massage, 29.26. So you may want to start to realize that, oh, this is exactly how insurances do look at fees, particularly when it comes to personal injury and non-managed care. Now, here's what's further interesting. My general rule is an office probably wants to be maybe twice the Medicare rates as a typical fee. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that high, but that's a starting point. I would say maybe even 1.5. But here's why I bring this up. In Arizona, for workers' compensation, and let's face it, would anyone say, oh, yes, the workers' compensation fee, the mandated fee, is the highest fee in the state? No, it's not. But notice the conversion in Arizona is 68. So instead of being 31.78, it's 68. So think of it. 97810 has a value of 1.19. If 68 is your first, or you're going to use 68 conversion, the workers' comp rate is going to be, oh, wait, 68 times 1.19 is about 120% of that. You're thinking, well, that first set then is going to be around $80. Yeah, what would the additional set be? Well, 68 times 0.79 or 80% of that, take off about $13. Again, right about 52 or 53. Please be careful of undervaluing. If you are billing 50 and a carrier is willing to pay 80, but you bill 50, you're going to get 50. So be mindful that if someone ever says, how did you come up with a fee schedule? Have a real reason, not based on what my friends have been doing. We don't know what your friends are doing, right? Your mom told you that. Did you ever get away with it when you said, well, that's what Johnny did, Mom? Well, Mom's not going for that. We don't care what Johnny does, what we do at my house. So network members, I'm Mom right now. I want to know, what are you charging? We can go through it. Make sure you set up a Zoom for that. I want you to really start to realize, make a competent fee schedule, not a guessing fee schedule. And that's what too many of you do. And that's why a lot of acupuncturists struggle. I want to end that struggle by setting up a good, sound fee schedule. Now, bear in mind, when you sign a contract with an insurance company, you're accepting them to pay less. That's why they like you to sign up. By example, if you sign up with United Healthcare, what do you get? About 60 a visit. What if you don't sign up with United Healthcare? What do you get generally? About 100. Same might apply with Cigna. Now, ones that are HMOs, maybe we want to, but others you may want to rethink it. So to help you do that, what I'd like you to do is take a moment. And this is, this is not just for my network members. Obviously, this is for everyone. Use this QR code. Go in here. You're going to send us some information of what is your fee for 97810. We're then going to send you back the calculations of the codes that we just showed you based on your fee for 97810. See if it makes sense. But I'm going to warn everyone, be careful. If you have not increased the value of your 97810 this year, you have flat out lost money because it went up 20%. That doesn't mean all managed care, but for everything else. As always, we want to make sure that your practice does well. Network members especially, I'm going to emphasize, if we haven't done our meeting this year on fee schedules, get in contact with me. Let's get moving. For everyone else, make this a good starting point. Maybe I'll see you in the fall for a seminar to make sure you really can make sense of it. Or how about this? Join the network, make me part of your staff. Let's work one-on-one. As always, everyone, I'm going to say thank you for taking some time with me. We always want you to be successful because your strength is ours. Take care, all.